Every year I vow to read these books, and so, hi, this is me publicly shaming myself into making it happen. Happy 2026, guys. It's crazy to think that we are in 2026. I don't think I wrapped my head around it yet, but somehow we are. Reflecting back, 2025 is kind of a crazy year. Remarkable highs and incredibly painful lows. Definitely in 2025, as a result, my reading suffered. As of the end of August, I had read about 32 books, something like that. And the end of the year, I managed to finish this year by reading, I think it was 56 or 57. So I read a shitload of books in between August and the 1st of Jan or 31st of December. And during that time, I kind of really rekindled my love of reading. And part of that is because I rekindled my love of social media. And I was like, I'm going to stop taking a 1.5 year long hiatus and do it again because it brought me joy and I want to do it again. And so I'm going to use this video to make some reading vows that you might be able to resonate with, but also to talk to you about the books that I am vowing to read this year as well. And hopefully it can motivate you. Hopefully it can give you ideas for books to add to your TBRs. We can just share in how shit we are in accomplishing our own goals. So let's talk about some reading vows then. My very first vow, and I've never done this before, but I'm gonna do it right now. I vow to stop buying books. I'm not putting myself on a book buying ban. I don't really believe in those per se. And if I see a book that I want to buy, then sure, I'll do that. That's fine. But I am going to stop with the book hauls for a while. Because the thing is, I tend to read probably like 10 to 12 books a month when I'm in my stride. 12 has, I think, been my maximum I've ever read in a month. But what I do find that I tend to do is I will do a massive book haul. I'll get money for Christmas and then I'll do like a book haul of like 25 books, 30 books. And it's great and it gives me lots of dopamine and I'm happy. But then the thing is, I get into one of my moods or I get into like a reading slump or someone else dies and everything goes bad and I don't read. And then I end up not reading many or any of the books that I did in my reading, in my book haul. And then a few months later, I go do another book haul and I want to accumulate books and I want to have a lot of books, and I already do. I think I have over 800 at the minute. But I do need to start prioritizing reading them. But I am going to stop myself for at least the first half of the year from doing book hauls. Second reading vow. I am going to really focus this year on reading for joy and not reading what I think I should be reading. Particularly with doing social media, and particularly back when I was back in my stride, probably in like 2022, one of the things I found really challenging is being a massive mood reader, but also feeling like there were certain books I had to read or should have been reading for my social media. You've probably noticed, if you've been following me for a while, that my reading tastes have switched a little bit. I've always been kind of the horror and romance girly, and I still very much am, but I think I used to lean more heavily on the horror. I used to make more horror content. But to be honest, I barely read any horror in 2025, and I do want to get more into that, but I just find that where I am right now is that I want to read romance. And then final vow, number 3, I'm going to read 100 books this year. I've done it once before. I think this is my 4th year of having a reading goal. My first, I think I read 80 books, and then the second I read, I think 100 and 102, and then my third was 2025 and I read 56 or 57. So we're going to crack 100 again this year. Please do share your reading goals in the comments because I would love to hear what you've got on the table for 2026 for your reading as well. But without further ado, the bit you're probably interested in the most, the books I'm vowing to read this year, and my God, there's a lot and I can't include them all in this video. But I'm going to talk to you about some of them. And here's the thing about me. I have a lot of books on my shelves that have been on my shelves for like 4 years, and I'm like, I'm going to read that book eventually. In no particular order, I've got like 2 fucking massive piles, so I'm not necessarily going to talk about all of these books really in depth, but I'm going to show you them. The first one, Tessa Dare. I love Tessa Dare. She's a fantastic historical romance author, When a Scot Ties the Knot. This book is a prime example of how weird my brain is because I've been going for like a year now. I'm so excited to read this book. I can't wait. And then I just never pick it up. Look at this step back. Is that not gorgeous? This book sounds unhinged. It's about a woman that basically, in order to get out of having to be married off, she invents a fake husband who's at war. She writes to him, and then when she gets tired of it, she kills him off, this fake husband. so that everybody leaves her alone because she can pretend to be a widow. But turns out there is actually a man who's a soldier who has the name that she made up, and he has actually been getting her letters. Very romance reasons. Love it. And he basically turns up one day and he's like, hello, wife. And he brings his whole army with them and they live in a castle, and it just sounds unhinged and delightful. And I will be reading this book probably in January. Going to be reading The Winter King as well. So this is one that a friend got me a while ago, and it's been on my TBR for ages because guess what? You're gonna be shocked to hear this. I'm really excited to read it. But no, this is a fantasy romance, and one of the things I am going to do, I'm going to dip my toe into fantasy romance, not romantasy, because it is different. Fantasy romance. A Big Titty Nun book is in fact going to be read this year. I bought this as a fun Christmas treat to myself last year in December 2024. And for some inexplicable reason, I have not read this masterpiece book. You'll be getting a video about it, don't worry. If I have to suffer through this, I'm going to inflict it on you too. First Time Caller, a cute little contemporary romance. Again, this is one that my friend bought me. And yeah, it sounds delightful. It's about a radio host who I think hosts like a relationship radio program, and the heroine calls in asking for advice about her mother, but then the host and the heroine fall in love. Sounds wonderful. I'm gonna read it. I vow that 2026 will be the year that I finish Jessie Mihalik's sci-fi romance series. Now, if you want sci-fi romance, unfortunately, there is little of it out there, and I know this because I fucking love sci-fi romance. Jessie Mihalik is one of the few authors writing that has written sci-fi romance, and this series, the first book is Polaris Rising. It's phenomenal. It's delightful. It's an actiony sci-fi series that features badass women, and I cannot recommend this series enough. So if you're wanting like a sci-fi series with humans, not aliens, just to clarify, I would strongly recommend this one. We're getting to one of the big boys now. We're getting to a big hitter, Cresley Cole. So this year, I am going to get caught up with her series. I have vowed to read 3 books in this series a month. This is the one I'm currently on, so this is book 11, I think, because I'm not including novellas in this. So I've got to read this next. And yeah, I think her new release for her next book in the series might be May. She might be releasing a new series in May. Either way, I'm going to get caught up with this series by May. So we've got some horrors. Now, one of the things that you're going to see as a theme in this video is that I don't know why, but there have been so many books that I've put down because I am a mood reader, and I've said, do you know what, I'm not in the mood to read this, and I've put them down, and I've been like, there's nothing wrong with this book, and I was enjoying it whilst I was reading it, and I'm going to go back to it. And then I just never did. I think I started this book 2 years ago. I got to about page 70 and I said, I really enjoy this and I want to read it, but I don't want to read it right now. So I put it back intending to pick it up in the near future, and I just never did. This is what I'm vowing to read. It either needs to be read or it needs to be got rid of off of my shelves. I can't keep doing this. And it's good timing really, because we're actually going to Japan in May for like our dream holiday. So this is a book about World War II and the Japanese. Basically about a Japanese American family, I think, who was shipped to an internment camp in the US during World War II, and there is some kind of outbreak contagion. Now, Alma Katsu, she has written quite a few historical horrors that use historical events and use the reality of those events, but also add in, like fantasy horror elements to them. And she has also, I found this out recently just for my spooky bitches out there, Alma Katsu has also written romantic fantasy. I had no idea that she was a spooky bitch too, but this makes so much sense. And the more I find authors that are spooky bitches that read horror and romance, the more I just kind of love them. S.A. Barnes is another one. She writes under different names, but she's releasing a paranormal romance this year. Crafting for Sinners. This one is a relatively recent buy, but I did pick it up a couple of weeks ago, and I think it's a mood thing because I was literally just there like, I don't give a fuck. I don't care about these characters. I don't care about if they die. I only got 50 pages in. That's quite an extreme stance for me to take 50 pages in, and there is nothing wrong with the writing. There's nothing I can point to say that this is why I'm not enjoying this. So I think it was a mood thing. I put it down. I am not going to let this become another book that I don't read for 5 years. after saying I'll definitely get back to this soon. I'm reading Crafting for Sinners. Now, The Night Stalkers is one that's been on my list for a while, and I only just recently bought it. But this is about two rival grocery stores, one of whom seems to be a satanic cult, and the satanic cult grocery shop goes to the other grocery shop and starts unaliving all of its staff members, employees. I'm going to be picking up the Psy Changeling series again, so Nalini Singh is going to be getting my eyes on her books. This is the next book that I need to read in the series. I think it's book 6. I definitely went through a Psy Changeling Nalini Singh series hype in 2025, and then Cresley Cole took my fancy, and so then I read loads of her books. And I'm not going to say too much about this series because honestly, I've mentioned it so many times. Hell House. So this is a book that I started reading. Here's where I am in the book from like 2 years ago. It looks like this because I dropped it in the bath 2 years ago when I was living in a completely different house. It's a classic. I've wanted to read it. I was interested in it when I've read it. I've picked it up twice and my brain is just fucky. I don't know what to say. I'm going to be reading this book. It's a very classic haunted house. So many people say it's terrifying. This is the year. I'm also going to be doing a reread of the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse series. Now, it's very funny because I reset my TBR shelf for the new year. And then immediately I said to myself, the books I choose, I'm going to pick off of my TBR shelf. And then immediately, literally the next day when I was thinking, okay, what book am I going to read next? Pestilence, which is book 1 in the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse series, was not on that shelf. And I immediately just went, yeah, I'm not sticking to the shelf. I'm going to read this book instead. Yeah, I'm going to read the fuck out of Indigo by Beverly Jenkins. This is a historical romance. So it's an old historical romance. I appreciate the cover is not, it does not conform to modern conventions of even historical covers. I appreciate it looks a bit like a boring academic-y, like, tiny textbook. It's not. It is a historical romance, and I have it on good authority, and also just all of the frigging Goodreads reviews and people that have read this book absolutely praising it. It's a wonderful historical romance. It's written by Beverly Jenkins, who is a Black author, and she's written a lot of Black historical romances. And this is a historical romance about a hero and heroine that have escaped slavery, and I've heard it's delightful, I've heard it's phenomenally written. There's a reason she has so much clout, and I've never read a Beverly Jenkins book before, so I've got Destiny's Captive as well. It might be in my pile to talk about, but Indigo is very highly anticipated, so going to be reading this year. I accidentally summoned a demon boyfriend as well. Bought this recently. It looks delightful. It just looks fun. It is, I think the title tells you enough about the book. The heroine accidentally summons a demon boyfriend and presumably they're gonna like fall in love. I've got a bit of a wild card here where I believe this is a thriller, like a murder mystery type thriller. And I'm not going to lie to you, I'm not interested in thrillers, but I was given this book as part of a book box. I think I've got another thriller as well. It's been on my shelf for probably two-ish, maybe 3 years. I don't need this to be on my shelf forever. So I'm giving myself an ultimatum this year. You start reading it. If you get 50 pages in and you say, do you know what, you don't like thrillers and this is not an exception, and you DNF, that's fine. But you cannot keep this forever. So I am going to be starting this book and either finishing it or DNFing it and getting rid of it this year. Dragonbound by Thea Harrison. So I'm going to try this book. I'm sure it will be delightful. It's about a woman who steals something from a dragon's hoard, and the dragon is her sexy hero, and he's very angry that she stole this gold coin, and he basically like hunts her, and it turns out she's his fated mate. This is one that's been on my physical TBR for probably about a year, and it's Firelight by Kristen Callahan. This is a paranormal romance, and it's an interesting one because it's like a historical paranormal romance, and I don't think that there are a great deal of these. Paranormal romances generally tend to be set in the modern realm, or the modern time, I should say. Whereas this is a historical paranormal romance. And I've read Kristen Callahan's books, some of her contemporaries before. They've been delightful. I have no doubt that this won't be delightful. It seems like there's a forced marriage going on and there's magical powers and it's set in historical times. And to be honest, one of the reasons I kind of wanted to read this, outside of the fact that it's Kristen Callahan and it just sounds great, is that the book series that I'm writing is kind of set in like a gothic alternate timeline. Wolf Gone Wild sounds great. It's about a werewolf that can't shift into his werewolf form, and it's about witches. The heroine is a witch. They don't fuck with the werewolves, but the hero goes to her and says, look, I really need you to help me. I think I've been cursed. And love happens, romance happens, they fall in love, even though they're not supposed to go with each other or be with each other, so it's forbidden love. But I've heard lots of good things about this book, and it's not going to languish on my shelves for 5 fucking years before I get to it. 2026 will be the year I read it. Another historical romance, another beautiful step back. I mean, look at that. Sophie Jordan is an unhinged, insane writer, and I absolutely love her. This is a historical romance adaptation of While He Was Sleeping, you know, the Sandra Bullock film? It's that. Pick this up maybe a year ago, wasn't feeling it, even though the writing was delightful and there was nothing wrong with it, put it down and never got back to it. We're reading it this year. Now, this is a sports romance, I believe. The hero is a famous sports player. The heroine is not that. She's a flight attendant. This is one that I've been interested in. It's been on my radar. So I think I'm going to give it a go. And I don't know how good it is. I have a friend who read it and she said she liked it, but that was the most she said. So we're going to give it a go. I'm also going to be reading The Spare, so this is a billionaire romance, I believe. I've not read anything by this author before, so I'm going to take a chance on an author that's new to me. But it sounds fun, and the hero is the heroine's brother's former best friend turned business rival. And so yeah, this is just going to be one of the contemporary romances I dig into. To me, this book is very funny based on the title alone, and my husband has been like picking this book and showing it to me and just being like, hello, bog wife. It's the funniest thing I've heard all year. I don't fully understand what the hell it's about. It says, it is said the Hadersleys have too much of the bog in their blood to live in the world, and they live in the Appalachians, and the patriarch of the family is dying and the children rally around him, but the bog is ever waiting and ever growing and ever hungry. And I don't really understand what any of this means, but I saw it and it says the bog wife, and I just thought, fuck it, that amuses me. So I'm going to read this book this year. I'm going to read about a bog wife. This is my next, oh, that's pretty. This is my next foray into fantasy romance. The Dragon King is looking for a wife, and presumably the heroine is that wife. And yeah, going to be trying fantasy romance. I've heard this is a good one. I've heard this is a good one to start with for people that like very heavy on the romance. So going to be giving this one a go. My Throat an Open Grave is another one that's been on my TBR that I've been excited for a really long time. It's in fact upside down. And yeah, this is one that I'm going to stop putting off. I've heard it's like a kind of gothic horror-y romance, so I'm not really sure how to categorize this one. The heroine one day wishes her brother away for a variety of reasons. Like, you just have to read the blurb. And the Lord listens, apparently, and he vanishes. And then she has to go and see the Lord of the Wood, I think is what he was called. Fuck it. Again, I'm not reading these. Look, probably this is the plot, maybe. She goes and sees maybe the Lord of the Wood, and he's not exactly what she thought he was. And I'm assuming that's maybe the love interest. And it just sounds, I don't know what even this book is. It just sounds fascinating. This has been on my TBR for probably like 2 years and I haven't read it, even though I keep thinking to myself, this looks really interesting. I really want to read this. It's about a stretch of road that leads into a town that apparently lots of people die on, and it's described in the blurb as being to get out of the town, they're going to have to drive down that haunted stretch of road one more time. And yeah, it vibes with me. It's going to have to live up to quite a build-up, considering I've been wanting to read this for 2 years. But nevertheless, it sounds creepy. It sounds cool. Murder Road we go. Another little historical romance. I definitely want to get back into this series because I absolutely love The Wicked and the Wallflower, and I probably read that like 2 years ago, and I was like, great, can't wait to get into Brazen and the Beast, which is book 2, and then I just never did. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm going to be finishing the Playing for Keeps series by Becca Mack. I haven't, usually when one of her books comes out, I devour them, but this one I've put off. Sorry about touching my microphone. This one I've put off because I've been in a bit of a delicate state of mind, and I know that this one is the final book in the series with a couple we've been following kind of from book 1. And it's about their fertility issues, I think, and the fact that they're trying to have a baby and they've been trying since pretty much book 1 and they can't. And I know this book is going to break me. It's going to make me really, really deeply heartbroken. And I just need to be in the right frame of mind to read it. So it will be read in 2026. I do vow that. And last but not least, because I cannot talk about every book that I'm going to read, but those are some of the ones that I've vowed, and there's going to be more. I'm going to read Managed, which is the second book in Kristen Callahan's VIP series. This one is apparently delightful. It's a kind of like rock star celebrity series. This is about the rock star band, I guess, is manager. And he's like a very tight-laced British man, which doesn't do it for me so much, because when I think of a British man being a British woman, I think very hoity-toity, like, yes, hello, I am a very British man, yes. But I'm sure for like Americans that sounds very sexy. Even so, I'm just going to imagine he's American, because that is more exotic and sexy to me. But he's cold as ice, nothing ever gets to him, blah, blah, blah. I am going to be reading this one because I borrowed this from my friend like probably a year and a half ago, and I still haven't read it, and she needs her book back, and so it's going to get read. And yeah, guys, my tea is cold. I have a massive stack of books next to me, and that's some of the books I vow to read this year. Please keep me accountable if I don't, get through this list, and I will be giving you frequent updates. Feel free to bully me. I accept that. That is my penance. But please, let me know, comment below what your vows are, comment below, what books you are particularly going to be reading this year. Add these to your TBR if they seem like they're your kind of thing. I hope you all had a wonderful start to 2026. I hope this year is filled with peace and happiness and fulfilling goals and joy. And yeah, next week I'm doing a video again. There will be another one. Don't remember what it's about, even though I did my schedule last night. So look forward to a video next week. Subscribe, like the video, please, comment, all of those things, and I will see you in my next video.